another forced episode of Aussie Bloke's Garage on how the bloody hell am I going to fix this thing? Jesus Christ. First thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to remove this assembly because that's where it's broken inside. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is remove these nuts. There's probably another D's nuts jokes for someone out there, but good on you. And take it from there. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but let's start there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take that assembly off. And in order to take that assembly off, I need to take 3 nuts off. In order to take those 3 nuts off, I'm going to go to my socket set. Now, if you haven't got a good socket set, whip out, go get yourself one. It's going to save you. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify which mil socket I need to take off on that. And from what I reckon it's going to be an 8 or 9 mil. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we've identified that it is an 8 mil. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that 8 mil, take these nuts off. Okay, that's 1, that's 2. There you go, that's 3. Now as you can see here, the entire assembly just comes off. Now you can buy these and replace them like for like if you'd like. But what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and save some money and I'm going to try and recoil this and put some new rope on there. Okay, so what's happened here is as this is broken off, this is unraveled. Now there's a coil pack on this side, inside there. And if I take that nut out there, it's going to all unravel. So I don't really want to do that. It's a real pain in the ass trying to get that back in. So what I could do is if I wanted to, I could re-put the rope back through the hole here, like that. But as you can see, I really don't have a lot of recoil there when I pull it. And what I really want to do is I want to get all that rope back into there. So how am I going to do that? Well, as you can see here, there's a little notch. Now that little notch there allows you to get the rope. You pull it back through. What you can do is if you wind it against the spring, okay, give it a few winds, then what you can do, just hold your thumb on there, feed the rope back through. What it'll do is it'll recoil for you. You can see it recoiled all the way through, taking it all the way back in. Now that's pretty good, but what I need to do is I need to try and get the handle back on. All right, cool. So I've got the recoil. So I can see there now that there's a fair bit of rope there. And I think for the purpose of what I need it to do is if I put the handle back on here, it should give me enough pull on the engine to get the engine started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that rope held there and reattach the handle. Okay, so what I've done is I've essentially got a bull clip. What I've done is just using a simple bull clip, I'm holding the rope in the place that I need it to until such time as I can get this rope out of this handle. Now, with these handles, you just need to pop the top off. So if you get a screwdriver in there without stabbing yourself, that's generally my main concern, is once you get that top off, you'll find that it's actually tied in there. And all we're trying to do is replicate that knot with what we've just pulled through here. Okay. So let's take that little bit out there. So as you can see, that's all I'm sacrificing. It's not a big sacrifice. But the next time that this rope breaks, I might either A, want to buy a new one of these assemblies, which you can if you have a look online or you head down to Mitre 10 or Bunnings, you'll probably find them there as well. They're fairly generic. Or what you could even do is you can see there's another knot here. You could even try and re-rope this yourself as well. Then you don't have to buy that entire assembly. All right, so I'm going to take the bulldog clip off. Try and feed this through. Now, there's a bit of a frayed end on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Stanley knife, just cut that frayed bit off a bit. Okay. Now, because there's still a bit of a frayed end there, it doesn't matter how much further down I'm going to cut it, it's going to continue to be frayed. So I've got a bit of a lighter here. I'm just going to melt a bit of a nib on the end of it there. Okay. Okay, so once you've melted the end of that rope down to try and narrow it, what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of fishing line. So I've just got some fishing line here, and I'm going to use that as a leader to go through the neck of the handle. So I'm going to do a twist hitch, or whatever the hell you call it, I'm not too sure. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the video for you. Then I'm going to put it over the rope like that, tighten him up a bit, as close to the end as you can. There we go. Then use the fishing line as the leader to go through the base of the handle. And once you've got it through there, grab the rope, feed it through, and as you pull it through, there we go. So now that I've got it through there like that, I can cut off the fishing line. Don't remove the bulldog clip just yet. Create a new knot in the top of the handle, like so it can't come back through. Okay. Now what I'll generally do is I'll get a pair of pliers, I'll pull it as hard as I can, because I don't want that knot cut. Also, what you can do as an extra measure, get your flimsy old lighter again, give it a bit of a meltdown as well. That'll just secure it nicely. Okay. Good. So once that's done, tuck that down, put the top back on. Beautiful. Okay, now that we've fixed our assembly, what we're going to do is we're going to just put it back on and put the bolts back on. But to give you an example as to understanding as to how this assembly works, there's notches drilled out of the engine here. And what happens is when you pull this, you'll see that there's little wings that stick out. And what it does is it grabs it and turns the engine. So what you do is put it on. When you put it on, just give it a bit of a pull to make sure it grabs the engine. And once it grabs the engine, put your screws back in. That's one. That's two. And that's three. Once they're in, give them a tighten up. Don't have to over tighten them, just enough to be snug, just hand tight. Then give it a test.